What am I doing to get myself in the best physical shape for the game coming up? One of my coaches used to say, you don't put diesel in a Ferrari. You just feel energized. You just feel like you're on top of everything. You feel like you can make the right decisions. Everything is flowing, and it comes down to having that. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Lewis Hatchett, mindset mental performance coach, former professional athlete in the great British sport of cricket. Any cricket fans out there? I wonder where you're at. Also, a master's student in performance psychology at Bangor University, host of the Raising Your Game podcast, and creator of the Mind Strong Sport app. Link in the description of this video. Today, we're going to be talking about preparing yourself for a big match. Now, that might be just one big event that you have coming up. You've recognized that it's a big game that you've got coming up, but it also could be an entire season. Could be things that you want to do over an entire season, and you want to get into a good mode of preparing. And the reason being is the best athletes in the world, they are the ones that perform on the big moments, on the big stages, and they do it time and time again. But the main thing that they'll put it down to is preparation. So how do we prepare? What is involved in that preparation? And we are going to go through a range of different things to go through what you can do right now to get yourself set up for success in your big match, your big event that you've got coming up. And you can start repeating that over and over again right after this video. Now, before we kick it off, it's worth noting that age-old adage of fail to prepare, prepare to fail. Preparation trumps absolutely everything when it comes to getting yourself ready for a big game. Those who are fully prepared for absolutely everything, they give themselves the best chance of increasing their confidence and reducing their anxiety. Those are pretty much the key things that we want to be doing. Increasing confidence, reducing anxiety. So how do we go about it? Well, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things for you to get going on when it comes to your preparation. All right, first up, we have skills. You can't go into any performance big match without having the skills that are required. You need to practice the necessary skills that you're going to need in order to achieve the best performance you possibly can. Now, this could be anything from your foundational skills, but you don't really want to be only focusing on the advanced stuff. Yes, it's great to have all the flair and the skill involved in the great advanced stuff, but you want to make sure you've checked off your basics, your fundamentals before you go into a performance to make sure that those are solid. You've got a good foundation of skill level, and that whole goal is to build confidence in your skills through practice. The best athletes out there, they have just practiced over and over and over again. They feel confident in the big matches because they know that those foundational skills, the skills that they've got, they have practiced it so many times. For me personally, when I was performing at a very high level, that was the number one thing that made me feel confident, made me feel less anxiety, was just practicing the skills. I felt like I had the skills necessary. Then you want to start going into maybe a few more of the detailed things. What are the conditions that you're likely to face going to require from you? So it could be a tennis player. You are on a different surface. You've got clay, you've got hard court, you might be on grass. There might be a certain different skill set that you're going to need on that game, on that match that you've got coming up. So think about what sort of conditions are going to be needed or what sort of skills are going to be needed in those new conditions. And then you can assess other external factors. What are the opposition you've got coming up? What are they likely to be doing? What skills might you need to use to face them? There's so many things you can get into for detail. You can go into the environment, what's going to be in your surroundings. Again, the conditions might be the weather, anything external that you can think of that could maybe produce a change in the types of skills that you might need. But again, it's going back to practice. And then when you're at practice, work with your coaches, work with those coaches, ask them what it is that you need to be doing. What do they think you're going to need? And then you can use them for getting that confidence, whether it's them telling you you're doing a good job, setting the goals, the targets, whatever it might be, just working with a coach to set out the skills that you need for this upcoming match. I think this with skills is one of the most vital things to give you confidence, make you feel prepared for going into a match. I personally didn't give it as much credit as I know I should have when I was playing at a high level, because I fell into a trap of looking at some of these others and thinking those were vital, when actually, if you've got the skills and you know what you're doing, that is going to be the number one indicator for you feeling prepared and confident in what you're doing. The others are great, but I think this sits at the number one and it's the linchpin for everything. Let's get into the others. Okay, because up next we have physical preparation. Now we want to look at physical preparation for in training, in your recovery, and in your warm-ups. So in training, you want to just think about, what am I doing to get myself in the best physical shape for the game coming up? Do I need to be pushing myself hard right now? Do I maybe need to be tapering? Do I need to be thinking of certain specific movements that I need to be getting right? Whatever it might be, just focus in training on the preparation that you're going to need for that game. Then you're looking at recovering right. That's your stretching. It could be your meditation for relaxation. It could be getting your recovery boots on, could be ice baths, whatever it might be for you, really looking after your recovery. It's no coincidence that the most elite athletes really invest almost millions of dollars on their recovery. People like Cristiano Ronaldo, LeBron James, guys that have had huge longevity in their careers, that have gone to big match after big match after big match, they have really put recovery at the forefront of what they do. So stretching, sleep, and we'll get onto that, but meditation, relaxation, all the techniques that they use to really enhance their recovery. And then from an on the game day scenario to prepare for your big match, warm up correctly. Get yourself prepared. Get yourself physically prepared and feeling like you're doing the movements that you're going to need to do in the match. Whatever it is, you're going to need to warm up right. If you don't do a good warm up, then you just risk injury. But not only that, you're not really mentally prepared. You're not fully at your peak level for performing, because that's what performance is all about. It's about performing at your peak. So yeah, you're going to want to get your warm-ups nailed on. All right, next up is nutrition. Now, this goes without saying that you want to fuel yourself with the right foods. You do not want to be heading to Burger King, McDonald's that day before and smashing down a Big Mac and thinking, I'm going to be all right for the next day. One of my coaches used to say, you don't put diesel in a Ferrari. So think of that one. You want to make sure you are fueling yourself with the right foods to just give yourself the best chance for your energy levels, for your mental clarity, your cognitive ability to make good decisions, be clear, maybe even just have a good mood. I think we underestimate that. We don't really estimate how much our nutrition can impact our mood in sport. If you've eaten a crappy meal the night before and you feel crappy the day on the morning of, that's not going to set you up well for the day. So it's eating the right foods, both the night before, the day of, in your performances, hydration being key, and knowing what works for you. So those foods that work well for you, and definitely keeping out alcohol consumption. So the night before, 2 nights before, 3 nights before, really reducing your alcohol consumption, almost not having any, because it has some huge effects on your physical output. I know there's days where I've played and I maybe have had a few drinks a day or two before a game, not a big game like now in amateur sport, but you feel the difference. You feel like your legs aren't as powerful. You just feel groggy. You just feel really shit. And you just want to be in the best possible place for that performance. So fuel the right foods, hydration, know what works for you, and reduce that alcohol consumption, definitely. As I mentioned just before, sleep. Sleep is probably the number one performance enhancing drug that you can get. It is not just the night before that you want to be focusing on. You don't want to be bringing into your game some form of sleep debt. You want to be making sure you've had good night's sleep leading up to that big match. So really prepare yourself a few nights out. Make sure that you have set up your environment for a good night's sleep and have a good bedtime routine. Those things can be really crucial for just creating an environment for you to sleep. Get your phone out of the room, take that out of there, get off TikTok, stop scrolling, maybe stop watching these videos, or if you're watching this video, turn it off, get to bed straight away. But you're really focusing on creating a great environment for you to sleep because you want to wake up fresh. You want to wake up feeling good. I know the games that I've played, the matches that I have played where I've got a good night's sleep, I have performed the best the night before, the day after. So I know for a fact, for me, when I have got a great night's sleep, that I have then performed the best the day after. I can just feel it. You just feel energized. You just feel like you're on top of everything. You feel like you can make the right decisions. Everything is flowing, and it comes down to having that good night's sleep. But not only that, it's consistent night's sleep leading up. So that's important, just not one off, really leading in. All right, so we've spoken about the physical, the mental, bit of the technical, but now we're going to go on to the tactical. Game plan. Having a game plan set up for your big match is vital for you just knowing what you're going to do. Okay, so this is not necessarily the style in which you're going to do it, but it's the individual game plan that you are going to set up for this match. Now, you want to start with your basics. What are your foundational skills? Going back to those skills you've got, what are your foundational skills that you were going to add into that game plan that you know you can execute, you've practiced that you can execute, you've maybe thought of what the opposition are like, and you just start with those basics before you start to progress onto as the game unfolds, how you're going to develop it. But don't go from the level 1000, start at level 1, work your way up, right? So go with the basics. And then think of, are you ready for any challenges that might come up? There's undoubtedly going to be something that happens in a big match. There's always some form of moment that happens that can catch us off guard. Are you ready for it? Have you thought about it? And this is where we then start to bring in maybe some of our mental skills, like visualization, self-talk, and you can use meditation to help you get there. But ultimately, you're thinking of, what is the game that I'm trying to play? How am I going to go about it? What is the process I'm going to be using to execute this game plan? It's your ideal game plan. It has to be adaptable. And again, work with your coach to understand, what is my game plan going into it? One of the best things you can do when you're working with a coach is create that verbal contract so that they know what you're doing, you know what you're doing, you've spoken to someone about what you're doing, you feel confident in knowing what you're doing, and you can just go out there and do it. And it's that simple, and as wild as that seems, it's actually that simple. Talking to someone about what you want to do gives you permission to go out and do it. So think about what your game plan is, work with your coach, start with it being basic, think of the possible challenges, use your mental skills, maybe think about what mental skills you're going to need within that game plan, when you're going to use them, and then that will help you feel ready for that big match. All right, so with all of these things, you might be thinking, right, well, where do I start or when do I start? Now, you can start working from your big match backwards to, say, like a month. You could be a month out from that. You maybe even be an entire season. You know an event is coming up. You think of the Olympics, sometimes they're 4 years out from the event. They work backwards to that event. So it doesn't really matter how far you work back, but you just scale it back and you just start to think about preparing and bringing in your preparation. It's all about slowly building it up until the day of. So you can be 1 month, 1 week, 3 days, the night before, the morning of. There is all different forms of preparation and different parts of what we've spoken about here that will go into those different timeframes. So you might think of the morning of your big match, you're practicing a few of your skills just to get you in the groove in the morning. You're preparing your body. You've got a good night's sleep. So that's not necessarily happening the morning of, but you're then focusing on your game plan on the morning of. But months before, you might have started to develop the early stages of all that. You might have started to put in your physical preparation plan. You might have started to get a good sleep routine. You might have started to really work on your game plan in your sport, in your match, and then start to develop it bit by bit with your coach over practice. So make it a part of your life, your routine, and build your preparation into what you do. This should eventually become second nature. These are just things that you do, and it becomes the characteristic of you as an elite, mentally strong athlete. You don't just do these things and think, I'm done it once, I've had a great game, and then it's just going to happen again. You have to practice it over and over again. You have to make it a routine. So think of this as building out your routine of how you deal with big matches, and then hopefully when they come, you're in the best possible place to go out there and nail it. But another way in which you can prepare is to download the Mind Strong Sport app with meditations, mindset courses, exercises, and so much more to help it become the mental gym for you to prepare as an athlete. Download it via the iOS and Android app stores. Click the link in the description of this video so that you can get started and become the mentally strong athlete that you want to be today. If you've been enjoying this video, then be sure to hit the like, also hit the subscribe button and the bell so that you don't miss out on any new videos. You'll be one of the first to get notified if you hit that bell. All right, let's get back in the video. All right, there you go. There's a full plan for you to start feeling prepared in your big match. But if you still deal with performance anxiety and that's something that you have a real challenge with as an athlete, then you're going to want to watch this video that we've made right now.